What's up? What's up? It's Raging Crow, and I'm here with Rocket Brown Man, and I had an idea to do a video, so he had no choice but to do it with me.
And it's time to get down. Actually, if you haven't noticed by now, we're big Sonic fans.
No, you liar. I like Crash Bandicoot, a.k.a. Wally the Willy the Wombat.
Oh, God.
I happen to be a big purveyor of the Bubsy series, okay?
That's not
Thank
even
you very much.
That's not even funny.
No.
Over the years, Sonic has evolved for better or worse.
For worse! For worse for a lot of the characters. In fact, for a majority of the characters, for the worse. And why we're here is to talk about what makes a Sonic game important, and what we really wanted to discuss for this particular video was character development. Development. The development of all the characters and why you loved them, why you hated them, why you wish they'd die, i.e. Silver, and, so on and so forth. So right now we're going to talk about the first four main heroes: Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, the original OGs of the Sonic universe. Before there was ever Blaze the Cat, Silver, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Big the Cat.
Now, I think it's important to talk about Sonic's original just character back in the 90s. And to do that, I actually do have his actual original bio. He was 16.
Mm-hmm.
Strong points were his running speed. He could exceed Mach 1. His weak points was he can't swim and he's impatient. And he likes moving fast and music. He hates the word slow and he hates tears.
Yep, that's kind of it in a nutshell. But for such a small description, it really doesn't delve into that.
It actually explains a lot about.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. For such a small description, it actually delves into the psyche of Sonic very well. Very brash, very impatient, very quick to decision making, and quick to action.
He's always he's pretty much like he's a very positive person. He doesn't like, any negative attitudes, which is why he's so, which is probably why he's all like, he dislikes tears.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of interesting to see what the original character was meant to be versus what he became now. Sonic, from his original origins, even up to the Adventure days and a little bit after, versus Sonic now is almost like night and day. I like to consider like original Sonic like a true character versus now Sonic to be like almost like Superman in a sense, but with less flaws, if you follow me. Because what makes a character interesting is having strengths as well as weaknesses. And obviously we covered that Sonic is a character that's really like the stereotypical cool guy character who's very quick to action, doesn't like negativity, is very impatient, you can't see him sitting around for more than 5 seconds, so he makes decisions, and sometimes that affects him for good or bad. And he's got like a group of other characters that balance him out, which makes a game important. It makes the game work. You have to have character balancing. And Sonic then versus Sonic now is Jesus.
Well, I actually would like to comment on that. Like, one thing I could appreciate is that there was a constant, you see because unlike other video game characters where their abilities, like, one time they're like Superman, and the next game, they can only take one hit and die. Sonic always had, and I'm not just talking about character, but actual abilities, he had you saw a constant improvement of what he can do.
Yes. Yes. His skills always were getting slightly better over time.
And his actual like a durability and strength. Like, keep in mind, in Sonic Adventure, he had to go supersonic to fight Chaos.
And in Sonic Generations, he could do it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. His actual development as a physical specimen is bar none great. I have no complaints about it. It's just the fact of his personality and his character has been completely oversaturated.
Yeah. They're kind of like stereotypes of stereotypes at this point.
But in this case, Sonic has got the stereotype of having every character's stereotype, but like only the good aspects.
Yeah.
Sonic is incredibly smart now, so he doesn't need Tails. He's super
Well,
awesome fighting man who has no weaknesses. No possible loopholes in his contracts, so to speak. So he doesn't need a Knuckles. He doesn't need an Amy. He doesn't need an emotional core or anything like that. He's got everything and loses nothing.
yeah.
So instead of Sonic having a team of characters that support,
He just has a gang of damsels in distress.
exactly. Like Tails is a damsel in distress. Knuckles is a retarded damsel in distress. Amy is a psychopathic damsel in distress. All of them need rescuing. All of them are hindrances. And the way the characters have been written now, you hear the cry of the fanboy saying, "We don't want other characters. We just."
But that's what made Sonic, like Sonic. You had other characters that kind of played off of his personality and his abilities. So when you're saying get rid of the characters, it's kind of like
You're
actually
rid of a
taking
major
out.
aspect of a game.
Yeah.
Like, prime example, let's just talk about the dynamic duo themselves, Tails and Sonic. What would you say was Tails' counterbalances to Sonic to make the dynamic duo work?
Well, one thing I think it's important to look at like Sonic as early as Sonic 2, because even in the game, I think that kind of like just playing the game, you kind of got a hint of Tails' personality. Like notice like every time, like Tails doesn't mimic Sonic perfectly, but he's always constantly trying to keep up with them. Like even if he like falls or gets hit, you'll always see him fly back, and that kind of helped him like what's the word I'm looking for?
Develop him a little bit?
Yeah, develop him as like a faithful sidekick.
But in a sense where
And
later
he didn't
on,
even.
he developed into more of like an equal.
Yeah, I'm just saying with Sonic 2, I thought that was cool because you didn't even need you didn't even need to read a manual to get Tails' personality because you saw it in the game.
Right. And
I thought that was cool.
In the early games, there's no dialogue or anything like that. So when you see Tails sort of doing things that Tails would do that Sonic can't do, you kind of get this aspect of, okay, Tails is not just some asshole that just follows Sonic around.
He's not your average player too, Luigi.
Exactly. Like he has a plane and he can fly it and catch Sonic midair falling from space. He can fly Sonic around to fight Robotnik in the Marble Garden Zone boss. What's it? Not Sky Sanctuary, but what's that level in Sonic 2 where he's flying him around in the ship?
Sky Chase?
Yeah, Sky Chase. It's like Tails has a set list of skills. And also his personality is, as it was developed later on, when they actually had like dialogue and emotions and a script and shit,
Yeah.
He was more of the voice of reason when it came to the Sonic team. He was always that kind of character who was like, let me talk things out, let me be the reasonable guy, because Sonic will go out and do something retarded and not think something through. Not saying that Sonic's retarded, but the fact that Sonic does not take more than 5 seconds to think about something before he bursts off onto the scene. So, Tails being the leveler, Tails being the brains of the outfit.
The fact that he had to bust Sonic out of jail kind of...
Prime example, he
kind
had
of
to bust Sonic out of jail in Sonic Adventure 2. Like, let's be real here. Or while Sonic is chasing off Eggman in Sonic Adventure 1, what's Tails doing? Rebuilding the ship. Why? Because long-term goal.
Yeah.
That's fine if Sonic catches him, but how are they going to get off the egg carrier if they don't have a ship?
Right.
You don't want to jump off the thing. I mean, even though Sonic kind of did the thing, you could have avoided that. But Tails, it's like the stereotype of dynamic duo. You have the guy who's very quick to action, and you have the brains. And that was the very good counterpart. Tails now, although he's still the brains of the outfit, Sonic's IQ has been upped so high that Tails
he hasn't really...
guy. He just comes there to spew plot and technobabble and be afraid.
I was gonna say, I don't think Sonic's IQ has increased. I think it's the fact that Tails doesn't do anything in the games.
Well, I like to
that
bring up
bothers.
a prime example of, I don't know if you can even get a clip of this, but in Sonic Colors, when
Yeah.
Tails builds the translator,
Yeah, no, he builds the
but
translator.
after that you've already destroyed 2 generators, so the translator was kind of pointless.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with just Sonic being smarter. It's just that he actually went and
And
did
I
something.
investigate anything that glows.
That's
It may not be him smarter, but it does mean that Sonic has a sense of danger quicker.
I honestly thought when he said that. I thought immediately of 06.
I just shook my head when I heard that. Like, I really did. It's almost like it becomes one of those things where it's like when you hear that, when in later games, when you hear Tails saying, "Let me help," you're just like, "Help how?" Like in 06, when you first meet up with Tails, he's like, "Let me help," blah, 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 blah. It's like the only thing he did in that game that I could think of that was helpful
Open
besides
a gate.
that and play decoy,
Yeah.
which I don't know how they would confuse Sonic for Tails. I mean, Tails is slow as shit in that game, but his character's been completely written off as just some technobabble guy who's there to expose plot. Like, another problem to why Tails' character doesn't work and why I think people are sick of the side characters, which I love Tails. Tails works.
I never. I don't think I'm sick of it. I just want them I wanted to see them used in a proper
No,
manner.
not you, because you and I, we know. We know. Because we've seen Tails grow as a character. And you might not believe this, people who are listening to this. You might not believe that Tails has ever grown as a character. But let's just take the prime example of Sonic Adventure 1 to 2. Adventure 1, in the beginning, he's all like, I want to be as good as Sonic, blah, 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 blah. You know, the stereotypical, I want to surpass my mentor mentality. And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Till in the end of Sonic Adventure 1, he saves the entire city himself.
Yes.
Sonic Adventure 2, he takes the leading role, and we talked about this. He breaks Sonic out of jail, builds a fake Chaos Emerald, so he pretty much concocted the plan to blow up the Eclipse Cannon.
Yeah.
He
fought
located
pyramid
hand-to-hand combat with their robots. Located
I don't even think. I was gonna say Eggman and Sonic never duke it out at all. It was Tails and Eggman.
Yeah, and that was awesome. I mean, and I think by story canon he won, didn't he? But Eggman kind of snuck off.
Yeah, he won, and then Eggman was just like, "Duh, let's get out of here."
Yeah, it's like Tails has completely grown from Adventure 1 to Adventure 2 as a guy who can completely hold his own. The fact that Sonic says, you know, take care of things when he thought he was going to die in that capsule explosion.
Yeah.
You know, Tails has grown. But later on in the games, Tails has slid down. And I really think Sega should take note of the way they write their characters. Because a sidekick is only as useful as you make them.
Right. I actually think that just to add more on the adventure, what happened in adventure. Actually, there was this scene where I think it was a good example where Sonic and Tails' personalities kind of develop off each other. Because, like you said, Tails is trying to be as good as Sonic, and you know, there was one thing where Tails is like, "Gee, I think we should locate the sky deck first," and Sonic kind of looks at him like, whatever."
Yeah, and then he's like, "I hate when he doesn't listen to me."
I know, he's like, why does he never listen to me?
I love that, because
I
counterpoint.
actually laughed at that. I'm like, what the?
It's like, yeah, why doesn't Sonic ever listen to him?
Yeah.
The only time, and it's not to say that Tails is a complete genius either. He has his derp moments, like when he forgot to install the landing gear on the plane. It happens. It happens. He's still very young, but it gives them a chance to grow off each other. Like, you know, to where you could also have very good antics with it. You know, you could have Sonic being his usual impatient self, and like you can have more moments like where he's like, "We should find the sky deck," and then Sonic's just like, "Oh fuck, I'm just gonna run around."
And we're actually almost out of time. So just to recap, here's Mild Tails' Prower's original bio. He was 8. Strong point, he could fly with his tails. Driving vehicles and flying aircrafts. he didn't have an established weak point yet. That was probably just to establish that, hey, invincible psychic. He likes mint candy and machines, and he dislikes thunder.
Yeah, I would too if I could fly.